safety, which is what, in this particular session, is what we're learning to do. So whatever you learn here, share it out. It's not a secret. I want you to feel it. I want you to share it among your family and friends. As Tomer said, I'll be posting in the chat basically everything that the skills that I'm going to teach you. And so you can do as you will with it. As long as you're sharing it out, I think it's really important. As I said before, everything that's done here is evidence-based, is solid research. I do everything that I'm going to teach you, I do myself. As I'm working with trauma on a daily basis, it's really important that I look after myself. But you guys, you're activists, you're going to go into the field, you're going to be looking at websites and so on. And that is just as powerful as if you were in person experiencing this stuff. So it's very important you look after yourself. And I think that's what's really important about this session, is it's going to provide you skills to look after yourself as you're doing this wonderful and brave work that you're doing or you're going to be doing. So the first thing is about resilience, because we need to discover the skills and the resources that we have to have resilience as we're going into the field and doing whatever it is we're doing. And even if you're not an activist, you're just living in today's era where there's a lot of anti-Semitism, a lot of anti-Zionism, a lot of denial. We need to build our resilience. And just as I said, some of the ingredients for building that is social support, right? So the thing with social support is we've got to go out and do it actively. We can't just wait till somebody knocks on our door and says, hey, yeah, I want to give you some support. It's up to us to go out and take the responsibility and meet people and build relationships and come into sessions like this or join organizations like this. All of that is building social support, right? Now, there are different levels, of course. There's family, there's friends, there's neighbors, there's people in online groups and so on. But everything is accumulative. So the more that you can do, the more your brain neurologically is going to interpret that as you've got a whole social support circle. And that's really important. One of the things that happens when we're under threat, when we feel we're under attack, whether it's online or offline, is the feeling of being alone, and your brain goes, right, what am I going to do? And goes all internal. So this is what we're doing right now. Another thing we need to build is flexibility. Flexibility psychologically, flexibility emotionally, flexibility in our behavior. And that means coping with change. You're just going about your business, or you're just surfing on the internet and boom, something pops up, or you land on a site that is very threatening to you. And I can hear already in some of your voices, the anger you may have, the feeling of threat that you may have, the anxiety you may have. And you might just come across that as you're going about your business. And that can have like almost getting punched, a winding kind of thing, getting punched in the stomach. And it's really important that we build that flexibility, being able to move in and out of those kind of circumstances, especially if you want to be actively pursuing it. Okay, so I look at it like somebody who's a firefighter, right? He's hanging out during the day, talking to his friends, drinking coffee, playing chess, whatever, and boom, the alarm goes off. He's got to jump in as quickly as possible, get his gear on, or her gear, get down the pole, or whatever you do in your local fire station, jump into the trucks, and off they go, do their business, come back again, and back into relaxing, if you like. They have to learn how to do that. If they don't learn how to do that, then it can have an effect on them that's not really desirable. So we have to learn how to come back quickly. How do we do that? Well, a sense of purposefulness, right? It's not just coming and being active. It's actually being clear about our sense of purpose. I come back to Sandra, if that's okay with you, because as she came on, she was like, I'm here because I want to do something. She's really strong in the fact that she was here. She almost apologized that she shouldn't be here, but her sense of purpose was so strong that she got over that uncomfortability business of I'm not Jewish, right? Well, I want us all to learn from Sandra here and actually take on board that sense of purposefulness. It's really important because purposefulness will allow us to be able to take a certain amount of pain that we might have doing our work or just living in this era. If we have that sense of meaning and purpose, we can get through a lot. Who do we learn this from? I don't know if you've ever heard of Viktor Frankl. If you haven't, look it up on Google, buy his book and reading it. He was a psychiatrist, a doctor who was in Auschwitz in the death camps. And just like any residential environment, people were living in Auschwitz, right? It was a death camp, they were getting killed and so on. But the people who were still alive, were living, they had to get up, they had to do things. And he was a doctor with patients in his barracks. And in Auschwitz, they had escape parties, which was very secret, and you had to get picked to be one of those parties, and then you had to train a little bit, and then eventually the leader would announce the date and the time, and very secretly you would join the party and you would try your best to escape. Some managed, some didn't. And the time came when Viktor Frankl was picked to be part of an escape party, which was like everybody's dream, if you like. And he practiced and he was ready, and it was getting very close to the time when they were going to actually actively try to escape. And he went to the leader and he gave up his space in this party. And afterwards he was asked, why did you give up that golden ticket of the possibility of escaping? And his answer was incredible. And that was, he has his patients to look after. That sense of purpose was so strong that he was willing to give up his own freedom to look after his patients and go through all the pain that would mean. And later on, he wrote books and he developed a whole psychotherapy about how meaning and purpose is really important. And he told us that he saw two types of different people that were fortunately not taken off to be murdered, but were living. And he said there was two types. There was those who had a sense of meaning and purpose, even in those conditions. I'm going to stay alive because I'm going to meet my family again, or I'm going to tell the world about this, or whatever it was, they had their meaning and purpose. And there were those who said, there's nothing I can do. This is the end. We're all going to die. It's really suffering. And he said those two different types of people actually influenced their chances of living. Those who gave up tended to die. Those who stayed with a meaning and purpose tended to live. And so we need to gather that together in the work and in the life that we're living over in these times. And another thing is confidence. People say to me all the time, well, I don't have any confidence for doing this. I've never done this before. So let me tell you, confidence comes with competence. The more we practice something, the more we do something, the more our brain will take it on and we'll get more confident. I say to people, are you confident walking across the room? And they laugh at me. What a silly thing to ask. Well, you weren't always confident walking around the room. Anyone see the little child learning to walk? He takes a couple of steps, falls down, takes a couple of steps, falls down. But with practice, they begin to walk. So what I can say to you now as we go into this skill building session is practice. It's not enough to come and listen to me or watch the videos or anything. Get up and do it. Practice it on a daily basis. It will build, believe me, it will build your whole nervous system. So as you will see, there's links here, there's QR codes, and also I'm going to be posting them all in the chat anyway. So don't worry about having to remember anything. But let me ask you, first of all, we're talking about online anti-Semitism. And Grey Wolf mentioned a little bit of stuff when he was younger, and I can definitely identify with that. So what do you think the difference is between online anti-Semitism and offline, anti-Semitism? It wasn't so long ago there was no online stuff at all. So anyone, any ideas what the difference might be between online and offline? Or is it just the same?
Anonymity and the ability to spread to thousands of people easily.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Grey Wolf. Anyone else?
They think we can't find them.
Yeah, and so what, they might just say things that they wouldn't normally do if they thought they were going to be caught. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a lot safer.
Safer for
the people who are saying these nasty, inaccurate sorts of things. Whereas if you were face to face with people, you could get in a fight with them and people could hurt each other. I mean, you still are hurt emotionally, but it's a very different kind of, power over.
Yeah, Tina, thank you very much. Absolutely. So, like Grey Wolf, when I was younger, from 4 years old until I was 11 and a half years old, I suffered an offline anti-Semitism almost on a daily basis. I was the only Jew in the school, almost only Jew in the neighborhood. And my friends were the anti-Semites, because you can imagine, right? So I was invited one day to their birthday parties. The next day they were trying to beat me up in the school. And so I learned to become a very good escape artist. Right? I managed to get out the school a few minutes early, managed to run home. And I lived like that for quite a number of years, until I was 11 and a half, and then I discovered my fists, as it happens. But that's a different story. But the difference between that and what online anti-Semitism is that in those days, when I got into the house and closed the door, they were outside and I was in a safe place. But nowadays with this, it actually comes through the door, and it comes into our house, and it comes into our bedrooms, and we almost cannot escape it. And you could say, well, you turn it off. Well, that's just not getting practical now, right? It's just not practical. I'm in all sorts of professional groups, and from October 23, I've had in my professional groups psychologists from all over the world spewing out hatred towards me on these groups, where I need to be for business, right? So it's turning it off is not really a solution anymore. And our brains, I think Tina mentioned it, people are feeling, I think maybe Grey Wolf, there's thousands, they're reaching thousands of people, but that's from their side. From our side, our brains are actually believing that there are thousands of people attacking us almost at the same time. So whereas if it was offline, as Tina said, there might be a few people there. There's usually not hundreds of thousands, and you're the only one in the middle. And so you might be able to fight or run away. But online, your brain is constantly getting this on a daily basis, whether it's on the news or whether it's on websites or it's on social channels. And your brain is thinking, I am constantly under attack. And that's why we need to know what to do about it. Somebody's raised their hand. Norman.
Yeah. Do you really think there's a solution to what has existed for thousands of years? I live in South Florida. I live in a Jewish enclave. But I will tell you this, if I travel or I go outside, I carry. In the state of Florida, it's legal. And I'm not afraid to face something, but I don't know whether or not there is indeed a solution to this. I want to know where the sites are. I'm not on social media that much. I want to know what sites are and how I can attack them.
Okay, so a wonderful question, right? Obviously, I don't know if anyone has the answer to will this go on forever. It's been going on for long as we can remember, for thousands of years. The chances are it will continue at least for the present future. and also in different levels and different stages. I don't know. We're on the brink of maybe a change in the world, but that doesn't always usually last very long when it comes to Jews. So everybody might be all happy for a few days, and then poof, it'll come back again. But what we can do is learn to take care of ourselves, whether it's physical defense or emotional, psychological defense, as we're going through all this. So let's get started. So one of the really important things is that we learn to have self-compassion for ourselves. We know we're pretty compassionate people, the Jewish people. It's one of the notable things about how you can tell from Jewish people is that they're full of compassion. But what's self-compassion? In fact, what is compassion? Well, compassion is defined with more or less two aspects. One is that we feel somebody's pain, right? We be able to identify that somebody is suffering, they're in pain. And the second part of it is that we're willing to maybe go ahead and do something about it. Now, it doesn't always mean we have to fix it. That's probably not the best way, but just to sit with them and be with them. We learn it from Jewish laws of mourning. You go and visit somebody when they're in pain and they've lost somebody, and basically the idea is you just be with them, whether you talk or you don't talk. People ask me all the time, what should I say? And you don't have to say anything, you just have to be in the room with them. So what's self-compassion? Well, first of all, we need to recognize that we're in pain. We need to recognize that something is going on inside our brains and bodies. And that's not an easy thing, because we're taught in our society not to recognize these things. We're taught in our society we should only be happy. We should only do fun things. And we're not allowed to be sad. And we're not allowed to have pain. And we're not allowed to be frustrated. And the best thing to do is, if you buy these products, you'll feel a lot better. If you go on this holiday, you'll feel a lot better. If you go to the doctor, he'll stuff you with some pills and you'll feel a lot better, because we're not allowed to understand that sadness and frustration and anger is part of our natural makeup as well. And so the first thing to do is to recognize that it exists here. And the second thing is to do something about it. And one of the things that we can, and we're starting off with, that we can do about it, is what's called a self-compassion skill. And that's just basically putting our hand on our chest. Can you believe it? Such easy. I'll invite you to do it with me right now. Just put our hand on our chest. And I'm talking about a biochemical change in our body and a neurological change in our brain just by doing this. And how does that work? It works because if we bring our attention to our hand on our body, either through our clothes or actually touching our skin, we're going to come out of our mind and into the present moment, concentrating on the pressure of our hand on our skin or on our clothes. That's the first thing. So our attention is now drawn to our hand. Another thing that happens is there's heat coming off our hands. If you do this on your face or on your eye, you'll actually feel that there's heat being radiated from our hands all the time. And so there's heat going through our body as we put our hand here. Now, our brain is an amazing organ, but sometimes it doesn't really know how to distinguish between ourselves and somebody else. So it interprets this as if we're getting supported by maybe somebody touching us. You know, if somebody touches you, if somebody hugs you, that's a sense of support. In fact, women who give birth these days, it wasn't always, they always put the baby on their chest if they can when they're first born. Now, it's a bonding exercise and all that's very nice, but what actually happens is in the baby and in the mother, when the baby is lying on the chest, a harmonic change happens in the mother and in the baby. And the hormone change that takes place is from a sense of threat, from not knowing what's going on, to a sense of safety. And that sense of safety allows them to bond. So if we put our hands here, our brain interprets it that we're getting supported, and our brain changes the hormones within our body. It starts producing a safety hormone. It starts reducing our stress, reducing our adrenaline, and allows us to be more attentive just by doing this. Now, if you know of anybody that has a fright or just naturally gets into some shock, what's the first thing they do? They almost naturally put their hand here. So that's the first exercise. I do this on a daily basis. It's something you can do. Doesn't matter where you are. Nobody cares while you're putting your hand on your chest. And you can just sit there and pay attention to it and let your body do the work. Anyone get any questions about anything? You're free to ask. Okay, the next one is, again, to get yourself out of that endless thought process that might be going around all the time, causing a lot of stress hormones in your body to rise. This is what's called a grounding exercise. Again, it's very simple but very powerful. I use this when somebody is in extreme trauma, when they've been in a terrorist attack or a car accident and they're going into shock. This very simple exercise. So if you ever get yourself feeling a little bit overwhelmed, or you've ever got a 3-year-old in the supermarket who's taking one of the tantrums, this is an amazing, powerful exercise. And that's just to use our 5 senses. To use our 5 senses. Why would we want to use our 5 senses, and why is it powerful? Because we can only use our 5 senses right now. We can't use our 5 senses 5 seconds ago, and we can't use it tomorrow. In other words, if I asked you to listen to something right now that happened yesterday, you can't. If I ask you to look at something that's going to happen tomorrow, you can't. You can only use your 5 senses now. So it brings you right into that present moment. Why is it important to be in the present moment? We hear it all the time. It's something very difficult for a human being to do. We can only actually be in the present moment for a minute or so. Doesn't matter. Buddhist monks, they've been practicing for years and years and years. They're probably the world's experts in bringing themselves into the present moment, and even they struggle with it. So, right? Animals, on the other sense, only live in the present moment. There's no giraffe that's going around going, hey guys, do you remember what happened last week? I can't believe it. You know, Joe the giraffe over there, he really insulted me and I don't want to see him again. Giraffes don't do that. Humans do it. They're up in their heads most of the time. They're either worrying about something that happened in the past, or they're forecasting something horrible that might happen in the future. When we come into the present moment, it's usually a lot safer than that world up here. Okay? Now, what do we need to do? Look around the room, pick out 5 things that you can see and just name them out loud, right? I can see the wall, I can see the light, I can see the air conditioning unit, I can see my computer screen and so on. And then you might want to just pick out 4 things that you can feel, right? So I'm going to ask Todd, because Todd's the only one I can see right now, more or less, and that is, if I mention to Todd that he can now feel the glasses on his nose, he probably feel the glasses on his nose. Exactly, even touches them. So up until then, basically, you don't feel the things. You don't feel the clothes on your body much. You don't feel the glasses on your nose. You don't feel headphones on your ears. But when you bring attention to them, oh, your brain lights up. And why is that? Because your brain doesn't use any extra energy than it needs to. So if it knows the glasses are on your nose and everything's hunky-dory, it switches off that information. When we bring our attention to it, it lights up. So we want to bring our attention to the present moment, so our brain starts seeing that we're much safer than it was when we're thinking. So you might also want to think of 3 things that you can hear. Oh, I hear the cars going by, I hear the kids screaming, I hear whatever, right? The air conditioning going. And then maybe 2 things that you can smell and 1 thing that you can taste. By doing that, our brains automatically ground themselves and come into a much safer environment. Another reason why it's safer in the present moment is because everything in the present moment has a beginning and end, has boundaries, right? It's not endless, right? Wherever you are, yeah, this is a physical object. It has boundaries. There's a difference between this object and this object, right? They don't intermingle, even though they're made of the same atoms. But let's put that aside. But in our brains, if I was to ask you to look at this pen and imagine it going around all of the whole of the planet Earth, you could use your imagination to stretch that pen right round the world. So that's what we do with our thoughts. We can make an issue that we're having difficulty with, and we can make it endless. Our brain does not distinguish, and so it strikes off all that emergency biochemistry inside our body, and we start to suffer from it. Another thing, if I was to leave you with anything, it would be this amazing exercise that I'm going to teach you. And there's millions of different breathing exercises, but this one is so powerful, it's really embedded in solid science. It does such a lot. I've got a friend who's a professor at Haifa University. He's doing a lot of research on this breathing, and he is a psycho-oncologist. So basically he's looking at the psychological influence on cancer. And one of the things he's finding is just by doing this exercise, it can reduce a lot of autoimmune, of which cancer is one of them, issues in our body. So it's preventative as well. So basically, I'm going to teach you how to do this. It's part of what's called the vagal nerve system. I don't know if anyone's heard of that, but we have 12 nerves that come out of our brain into the rest of our body. Everything else is internal. We have 12 nerves. It's like pipes that come out of our brain full of nerve endings. And this particular nerve is the longest one in the body apart from our spinal cord, and has an amazing influence on all of our body, whether it's our digestion system, heart rate, blood pressure, immune system, our gut and everything that goes on down there. Everything, it almost reaches all important parts of our body. It's a dual carriageway of information, 80% going back up to the brain, 20% coming back down. If you can tighten up, almost like in a gym, you can tighten up this nerve, then you can regulate our nervous system much stronger. So how do we do that? So we do it with a very simple exercise. Again, you're going to get this in a video, but basically you're going to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Wow, surprise there when it comes to breathing, right? So, but the way that you do it is important. You breathe in through your nose for 3 seconds, you hold it in your lungs for 2 seconds, and you breathe out through your mouth for 5 seconds. Altogether, that's 10 seconds. That's 6 breaths a minute. That's studied to be one of the most optimal ways of breathing. And we can't do that all the time, but in this particular exercise, it's very powerful. So the way that we would do it is we would breathe in through our nose like this. Fill our lungs, push our tummy out so our lungs fill to the full capacity. Hold it in our lungs for 2 seconds. And then breathe out through a little tiny hole. Now this is the active ingredient. We're breathing in just to do this. When it comes out our mouth through a tiny little hole as if we had a straw, right? And we breathe out for 5 seconds. And you do that 4 times. I do it 4 times. That's 4 breaths, 3 times a day, morning, afternoon, evening. Been doing it for a long time now, and it has an actual effect on our nervous system. I suggest that you do it during peacetime if you like, do it every day, and then when it gets really rough, you can do more. But don't wait until you're in crisis to do it. Okay? Again, everything is in the video. Due to lack of time, kind of rushing through it a little bit, but I really suggest this is the one that you take on. If you don't like any of the other ones, take this one on, because it has such an overall effect on your nervous system.
Dov, I would like to have some questions, maybe,
Sure.
since we just have some 7 minutes again. And
Yeah.
if Dov, could you stay longer if there are going to be some more questions?
Sure. Yeah.
So if someone needs, let's have some Q&A.
Fantastic.
And then, of course, we have 7 minutes for that. And if someone needs to leave on time, don't worry. So I see some on the chat from Tina, and maybe someone wants to unmute himself or just use the chat to ask any question
Absolutely.
that you might have.
Yeah.
I see Tina is asking about the effect. Is it the nervous system? Maybe you would like to elaborate, or Dov understood your question.
I mean, I'm thinking that it's relaxation, but I'm not sure, like calming. But since you didn't say it, I was looking for you to specify.
Okay, wonderful. Brilliant point. So yes, lots of people teach breathing to be a relaxation exercise. This is not a relaxation exercise. Okay, if you relax during it, well, then that's a bonus. Why not? Some people do this and they're not relaxed at the end. Okay, so the aim of this is not a relaxation exercise. Relaxation is actually a little bit oversold, if you like. It's nice to relax, but it depends on your intention when you relax. So I like to put relaxation aside a little bit. This is building the tone of a vagus nerve. How does it work? When you breathe out through a little hole, you're causing a little bit of back pressure to your throat. And when you cause back pressure to your throat, the vagal nerve is coming through your throat into the rest of your body. It gets stimulated in your throat when you do that back pressure, and when it gets stimulated, the tone of it gets stronger. So it's like actually being in the gym for the vagal nerve. When that gets stronger, it's directly involved in the regulation of our nervous system, and so our nervous system, if you like, becomes much stronger and more resilient. So you're right in picking up that idea that it's not for relaxation. But of course, who's going to give up relaxation if you get it? Usually the relaxation, when it does happen, will come for the extra oxygen you're taking in. So sometimes you might get a bit lightheaded at the beginning. It's just taking in extra oxygen, which is feeding all your organs anyway, which is amazing. And eventually your brain will get used to taking in a little bit deeper breaths. And that might cause relaxation for you. It might even change your mood. But that's not the reason for us to do this.
And I see another question from Grey Wolf.
Yeah, Grey Wolf, go for it.
Bit of a question, a bit of a statement.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Myself, I use a modified modernity throughout the day if I'm in a stressful situation. I thank Hashem for keeping me in this vessel and allowing my mind to appreciate everything that He has given us. And it takes, again, it's a modified, and in the morning I wake up as soon as I get up, before my eyes are even open, I'm doing that modality.
Yeah.
It's just a grounding. That's an easy grounding.
Yeah, a great, fantastic addition. Gratitude, which is what Modernity is, has also got scientific backing behind it, that it's really important to have gratitude almost all the time. And you can find gratitude in everything. And even if it's a Modernity, which is the first thing that if you're going to go according to the Modernity instructions, but you can say it any time. But sometimes we get overwhelmed. Sometimes people just get overwhelmed and they're not thinking straight. They don't know what to do. They're getting very nervous. And in order for us to ground ourselves, Modernity if it works for you, 5 things if it works for you, the breathing if it works for you. The good thing about the breathing is that if you do it when you're not overwhelmed, your body will do it on its own when you do. The rest of them, you actually have to do something, but this is actually training your body to be more regulated on its own, which is also very powerful. Thanks, Grey Wolf.
More comment, if you don't mind. When I am reading some of these...
So Grey Wolf, if I may, I just want to jump very quickly, and then we can stay for some another discussion with all of you. Just I want to say a goodbye if someone needs to leave just now. And the next meeting, we're going to meet the same day, the same time, the same link on Zoom for a very important lecture about monitoring online anti-Semitism. We're going to have 2 workshops of monitoring content. Next one is the basic one, and it's going to be recorded. Everything is recorded besides today's meeting. I do encourage you to join most of the meetings. Most of the workshops are workshops indeed, so there are less lectures and more for you to ask questions and to do things. So I hope you can join. If not, we will send you the recording. So I would like to thank Dov, very much for your time. We're going to
I
stay.
just wanted to remind
if
you,
you have
Tomer,
some-
that everything
yes.
is in the chat. If any before they go, to just copy the links from the chat.
So I will send it again because it was sent. I will send it for you again, and I see. Is it the link to the tiny URL, the self
Yes, yes.
So I would just say, and we will make sure to send everything we send on the chat on the WhatsApp group. I send you the WhatsApp group link as well, our FOA website, and a link to FOA free educational guides where you can just put your email address and then get 8 to 9 different educational guides, including coping emotionally with anti-Semitism and talking with children, etc., etc. So thank you very much for your time. Let's stay. If someone has more questions, and Grey Wolf, please continue.
Thank you, Ike, for being a great group. Those who have to leave now, amazing.
Getting back to what I was saying, one of the things that I think about with breathing, it's an autonomic function. Now, take your brain and think. If these people that are writing these stupid things didn't have that autonomic function, would they still be alive?
Yeah. Next.
Yeah, they're
Yes,
filling
any
they're
more
filling their
questions?
brain with other
Any
stuff that
Yeah.
they won't remember to breathe, and they won't be here.
Yes.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Help, he can send that chat in an email or these links, because I can't copy them.
Tomer said he's going to send them all out after.
Yes.
Maybe, I don't know, Dove, do you distribute that presentation? Because I don't think we were able to get all the way through it.
It's all in. It's basically all in the video links. It's all there.
Okay, so let's make sure you will get this on the WhatsApp group. You will get all of the links that we shared and Dove's presentations as well. Dove, is it okay if someone wants to ask you a question later so they can get your email address for anything?
Yeah. Hold on a second. I'll just put it in here, and you also
So we will
know,
make, yeah.
you also can give it out. I'll just put it in here.
Since we're going to talk a lot about anti-Semitism in the couple next weeks, if you feel that you need someone's help in that expertise, and please either talk with Sarah or with the Federation or directly with Dove. Is generous enough to share his email address. We're going to send it to the WhatsApp group as well, and hopefully you will not need any this kind of assistance. But if you need, Dove is here with us. Sarah, any more thoughts or final words from your side?
I do have a question. This is Tina. Sorry. I'm just trying to understand what everybody from your organization is doing. We also have Mayim, who I get emails from, and I just would like to understand different people's roles so that we know who the right person is to turn to.
Okay, it's a perfect question. So as I said before, I am the CEO and the founder of the organization. Very happy to be with you today and the last meeting and maybe some other meetings as well. You're going to see our COO and some others leading those meetings in addition to Sarah, in addition to the lecture. Mayim, she's the one that is in charge for the WhatsApp group. She's going to send you the links, the information. And if you need anything, I think that the easiest way would be either talking on the WhatsApp group or just send a WhatsApp message or send an email to projects@FOA. I will send you also the email address where Mayim is logged in and we are logged in, so we can see if you prefer to use email address instead of the WhatsApp group. This is regarding the staff. If you need something which is more important, or if you don't get any answer, of course, you can talk directly with Sarah and the Federation, so they are in touch with us all the time. We have this WhatsApp group basically for you. So I think that you are very welcome to use it, ask questions, and share how this lecture was for you. If you have any expectations for next week, for example, next week we're going to talk about monitoring anti-Semitism. Do you care more about specific social media platform? Do you care about X? Do you care about Facebook? Do you care more about TikTok? Share any thoughts and any questions and anything might be useful for us to ask the lecture to adapt the content based on your needs. We are doing I would say this project or those workshops in various places, we are not going to duplicate. We want to do something which is useful for you in Florida, in Palm Beach, in Miami, so it would be useful for what you've seen around. And we are also gathering a list of anti-Semitic users and links from the US. It's quite difficult to narrow down just for Florida-based anti-Semitic users. We are gathering a list from American, I would say, exposure to send it to you, so you can maybe, with our help, report and follow some of those users and eventually have something significant but impactful to fight back. And if you see anything, we're going to talk about it next week. If you're seeing anything, of course, that would be fantastic next week to talk about any examples that you might share. So I would say, to sum up, Maimshi is the one with the WhatsApp group. You can email us, you can send a WhatsApp group to the Federation, to Sarah, or directly to Alphaway. And feel free to use the WhatsApp group again for any small, big, large, medium-sized thing that you wish to include, because we want to hear how those workshops and lectures can be helpful for you. If, God forbid, you have any incident, online, offline, talk with us. We will try to help.
So in terms of the WhatsApp group, I mean, I've been on other groups before where there's a lot of communication, people sharing things. I don't know if that's what this group of people wants to do. It's something that I think is very valuable, but it's nothing that we've talked about, and we're just kind of getting to know one another. Is that something that you've seen develop with other groups as they've gone through your program? Or, what are your expectations and hopes?
The WhatsApp group is an idea. We have two different WhatsApp groups. One WhatsApp group, we will send you the link, is quiet. So only admins can send message and updates. Let's say we have a new report coming up soon, the annual report or anything like that, like news. This is a quiet one. This WhatsApp group for you is for all of the participants to share anything they want. Maybe no one is going to share. Maybe you prefer to share it personally or via email, since you don't know each other. Maybe in 5 weeks, you will be some friends, and we can do, even with the help of the Federation, any in-person event. It's really up to them and for you to decide, but it's just an idea. So feel free to use it as much as you want. And if you don't feel comfortable, just send us an email saying something that you care about, something that you want us to focus, send an email. The WhatsApp group, I know that many people also in the US do not use WhatsApp as we do in Israel or in Europe. That's why we're going to email you as well reminders for all of the meetings with the Zoom link, with the title of the